Welcome to the Sound of Leadership, exploring self-actualization through strength and song. Hosted by Michael Hewitt, professional opera singer, actor, and proven meathead. Michael excels at assisting you to forge an elite mindset, coupled with the communication skills to match, all while having fun doing so. If you're ready to find your voice and generate massive momentum while doing so, and have some fun as well, this is your podcast. Here's your host, Michael Hewitt.
What's going on, y'all? Let's talk about how to speak with conviction and certainty. So, watching somebody free their voice in real time is exciting. You're hearing a person level up right there in front of you. They're increasing in personal power. They are giving the middle finger to every hater, to every naysayer who said that they couldn't, to every story that they adopt for themselves over the course of a lifetime, that they are not the hero in their own journey. What it sounds like is they go from mumbling, half whispering, or speaking on vocal fry, to clearly articulating, literally, and speaking like they are rooted solidly into the ground. And I watched this happen yesterday with one of my clients. What cracked everything open for him was getting in touch with his emotions. And when we started to get him in touch with his emotions, and I just nudged him to dial it up further. I was like, where was that on a scale of 1 to 10? He was like, 6. I was like, all right, well, let me hear a 10. Did it again. I was like, where was that? He was like, it was like an 8. I was like, all right, let me hear an 11. And then the man started to come through. And this started because I was asking him what he was noticing in his practice in between our sessions. And he pointed out something that I hear fairly often, which is there's these two people now. There's the person who spoke the way that they spoke, communicated the way that they communicated before they came to work with me. And then there's the person who, when they're implementing whatever their assignment is or what their next thing is to work on until we see each other again, they start to see a different person there. And he was expressing that he was mad, that he felt anger towards that old self. And I was like, all right, what do you want to say to that old self? Just go. Just let it rip. Picture him. Let him know what you think. Let him know what you feel. And then that's where we started to turn the dial up. And so the reason that I mention this is because the first step in speaking with conviction and with certainty is to know yourself. And if you want to get to know yourself, you've got to start the process of getting in touch with your emotions. Now, this does not mean that you are just letting your emotions spill out and dictate your conduct. You can have all of the emotional access in the world, but if you don't have emotional control, that's going to create a lot of problems for you. So you have to be able to control your emotions. But when you start to access them and identify them and then be able to tap into them in this controlled way, or rather tap into them and then release them, let them come through in this controlled way, you unlock a huge superpower of communication and vocal expression. So there's the 7 skills of tonality, right? Tonality is so much broader and deeper and more nuanced than just saying, oh, it's how you say what you say. Okay, great. Sound confident then. Go. Sound empathetic then. Go. You're probably going to feel like you're doing a cheap imitation emotionally, and then you are likely going to run into some issues accessing the vocal colors that you want to access, the way that you hear it in your head, it's going to be tough to get it to come out that way in your authentic voice. That's why the 7 skills of tonality exist, so that we can reverse engineer and pick apart what makes this possible. Authentic and spontaneous communication. So in the 7 skills of tonality, conviction and certainty come from 4 in particular. The stakes, skill number 7. Mindset, skill number 4. And then intention, skill number 5. And then the literal skill that it comes from is resonance, skill number 1. That's the foundation of the sound. But because the voice is not tangible, you can't just, I always think of the A on the trumpet because I played the trumpet when I was a kid. You can't just press a couple of buttons down and blow air and reliably get the same sound every time. You've got to get in touch with all of the various things that your brain is thinking, which is where mindset and stakes and intention come in. It's important to speak with conviction and with certainty, because without that, nobody's going to listen to you. You're not going to sound like somebody worth listening to. If you don't have any conviction, why would anybody care to take you seriously? If you don't have any certainty, why would somebody care to follow you where you're asking them to go? To believe that you're not full of crap. They're not. And because the human ear has a built-in BS detector, or the human body has a built-in BS detector that works at the speed of sound, it's the ear. If you are not 110% certain and convicted with total integrity about what it is that you are communicating, you might be able to fool some people, but the people that you want to come with you, the people that you are speaking to, they're going to be like, I don't know, man. Something's kind of off there. I can't put my finger on it, but I think this person's kind of full of it. So let's start with stakes. Skill number 7. This is something that I picked up in acting school long, long ago, before I was an opera singer. I was a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Musical Theater student at an acting-focused program. That's why I picked it, because I knew I could sing. I was like, I need to work on my weak points. And I had adopted a story that my weak point was acting. And one of the philosophies there, one of the things that we were taught, was this idea of the space between, that in the space between, that's where the electric moments of performance come from. In the space between happens ideally when scene partner A and scene partner B enter onto the stage, and they each need to get something from one another. But they also have to be listening, receiving from each other what that person needs. So it's not just zero-sum game, winner take all. And when the stakes are as high as they can possibly be between these two scene partners, giving and taking, that's when the electric moments that take your breath away, that suspend all time, that's when those things happen. So the way that I explain stakes is like, well, I have some coffee. I got an old French press here. Pretty low stakes, and this is the way that most people engage in the world. Pretty low stakes. If you're like, yeah, well, if this doesn't happen, if I don't get what I need, then my coffee's going to be cold. Okay. All right, well, let's level it up a little bit. If I don't get what I need here, then me and everybody that I love dies. Okay, that's pretty high. That's as high as it gets for most people, conceptually. Let's take it a step further. If I don't get what I need, then me and everyone that I love dies, and we experience eternal damnation. Or we live blissfully, and we experience eternal salvation. That is as high as the stakes can get: eternal damnation or eternal salvation. Now, let's use the example of cold calling. We know it's not eternal damnation or eternal salvation if the person who picks up the phone doesn't move forward for a meeting to buy your cybersecurity software. But this ties back to this idea of emotional control. You want to take that kernel of those stakes, and you want to be able to infuse it into what you are saying. And that intensity, that belief, that is going to give your voice a groundedness and an electricity that is magnetic. In order to have this kind of conviction, this brings us back to the need to explore, get to know oneself. Conviction is just a set of beliefs or a belief that is very deeply held. So you've got to know, first and foremost, forget about whatever it is that you're selling. Start with you, the person, first. What do you believe? Why? How does that make you feel? What are the beliefs that you hold most deeply? You have to have this foundational level of conviction. Otherwise, anything else that you are convicted about, what's it resting on? If you do not have awareness of the things that you individually are most convicted about, then anything else that you hold convictions regarding, chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So that's where we get conviction from, or the tip of the iceberg of where we get conviction from. Now let's talk about certainty. Okay, so certainty comes from intention and mindset. Skills number 5 and 4. There are two levels of intention. There is the macro, which is you are speaking because you want somebody to win more than you want to be validated and told that, oh, you're so smart, you're so brilliant, you're the best salesperson ever, you should come work for our company. No. You want them to win. What's funny is that when you are operating from that intention instead of the other one, which is just needy and desperate. Again, that's one of those things that's going to trigger that BS detector. Then you get that result, which does feel good. And then the micro intention is the single specific action that you need somebody to take at the end of the conversation. So if this is a cold call, the macro intention is, hey, I'm telling you this because I want you to win. Because and I can believe in that because I'm so convicted that my service is awesome and that you might not believe it right now, but just when you take a deeper look, when we have a conversation, you are going to see this is going to make your life so much better. And then the micro intention is, I want you to say, yeah, when can we talk more about this? It can't be something general like, I want them to like me. No, not specific, not even action driven. Can't be, I want them to pick up my call the next time that I call. kind of action driven, fairly specific, but is that really what you want? The more that you get in touch with your convictions and your emotions, the more awareness you're going to have to be like, this is what I want. What I want is for you to say, this sounds awesome and I need this yesterday. When can we talk more about it? Here's my calendar. Great. Now we're talking. That is a perfect micro intention. And that's what you want, isn't it? Say what you want. Go get it. Now, mindset, this really, lot of cold callers. And I'm using cold calling here as an example because it's so, well, it's just so perfect for this. There's a mindset that it's like a virus that can infect even the strongest and most seasoned outbounders, which is, I don't want to bother. I'm bothering them. They don't want to hear from me. How are you going to have any conviction and certainty if that's what you believe? The opposite mindset is, my service is awesome, and if they pick up the phone, they're adults. That's their choice. They didn't have to. They picked up the phone, and it is going to be the best call that they have received all year, because I'm not going to waste their time, because I am a professional and I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going, and because they need my service. This service is going to accelerate their life forward in ways that they can't even imagine. I'm doing them a favor. When you go into a call with that mindset, you're not apologizing for taking up space. You are not going to come across as meek, going to come across as timid, as fearful. And this is why speaking with conviction and certainty outside of any sort of professional environment or application is so critical. Look around. Become aware. You want to get to know other people better, know yourself better. You want to get to know yourself better, know other people better. Study other people. Watch and listen and feel for how much conviction and certainty they have or don't have. How does it show up? How can you tell? Your voice tells the world who you are. So listen to how people speak and communicate with you, even in just passing. It doesn't matter what your agenda, what your beliefs, what your ideologies are. This world has got to become a place where everyone speaks with conviction and certainty, has the tools, has the beliefs to make themselves heard and to hear others, just like scene partner A and scene partner B. Everybody wants change. Everybody agrees. The world is so bad. The world is this. The world is that. Is that any different than it's always been? I don't know. I've only been here for 33 plus years. 33 in a couple months. And a couple months. I've seen the internet come to fruition and accelerate wildly in that time. So perhaps there's just more widespread information is more widespread, and we're glued to our phones all of the time. So we just see more of how insane the world is. But there's also just as much insanity, just as much cruelty. There's also just as much beauty. So if you want to fix the world, how are you going to do that? without being able to speak with conviction and certainty about what you see as the problem, what you propose the solution to be. How are you going to achieve any agency, any freedom in your life if you can't advocate for yourself and what you want in your relationships, in your profession, to yourself? Conviction and certainty is deeply personal, but is impossible to overstate the importance of. That you become able to speak with conviction and certainty. It is a complete game changer. Now, what we've covered thus far have been intangibles. And remember, we said the voice is intangible. But let's talk about achieving the sound of conviction and certainty. And would you want a leader who isn't convicted and certain? No, you would not. So really, this is the sound of leadership starts with resonance. Skill number 1 of tonality training. If for no other reason than speaking in a more resonant tone changes your state. Remember the description that I was telling about my guy who I could see, who I could hear, who I could feel leveling up in real time. It was like he was going from a hunched over, weakened posture to standing up straight, throwing his shoulders back, chest out, taking his gaze up from the ground and looking off into the horizon. Speaking with conviction and certainty, having more resonance, speaking on your voice, not just with a pure dominant chest sound. Remember, we've got to have a nice blend of head and chest. Speaking on the voice changes your state. If you don't believe me, try it. Don't let yourself speak on vocal fry. Don't let yourself speak on vocal fry. Or I can feel my state changing. Start speaking in vocal fry and just become aware of what happens to you. Become aware of how powerful you feel or don't feel. How confident, how alive, how vital. And then start speaking on the voice. Bring in resonance. Bring in airflow. Finish through your sentences with energy. Start speaking with high vocal energy, and you will immediately change your state and become more convicted and more certain. All right, y'all. Go forth and speak boldly. Thanks for listening to another episode of The Sound of Leadership. If you enjoyed this podcast, share with a friend, share it on social media, and don't forget, of course, to like and subscribe. And maybe leave a review too. No, seriously, that stuff really does matter. Give us 5 stars. If you've got any questions, comments, want to get in contact with me, at MichaelHewitt23 on all social media platforms. Now go forth and speak boldly.